Am I recording? Yeah, I am. Hello. Welcome, ladies and gents. Welcome to a, I guess, improv DC video. Title is not going to be like something like a hardlight loadout, because I don't really necessarily want to just give you a couple loadouts and then that be it. In the past, I've done a quantum video like this where I kind of just explain the power more so than give you a set loadout. And someone got kind of mad at me because I didn't give a set loadout. I didn't spoon feed it. So that's why the title is different. I'm not going to spoon feed you anything. I'm just going to try to explain what loadouts you could run, which abilities do well, which abilities don't. So yeah, see this more as an explanation so you can learn yourself rather than just me showing you a loadout and also showing a parse. Now I am going to show a loadout, don't get me wrong, but I'll just explain way more. So this video is going to be pretty long. If you do like this content, or if you watch my DC videos, I have a Discord server, so join that. So I feel like my ego is bigger. Yeah. Totally unprepared. So first of all, I'm going to start off with artifacts and all that shit. Let me just unequip these. I'm going to start off with artifacts because I think that's one of the most important parts. I don't have any 160 or 120 artifacts, so keep that in mind. I'm just going to go over which ones I use and which ones I think could work. And I'm going to start off with the strategist card because I don't have it, but I see a lot of people using it and a lot of people thinking it's good. If I had the artifact XP, I would level it up, but I don't. So if you have it at a quite high level, I would use it. If not, use something else. One of the most necessary artifacts for hardlight, I feel like, is the transformation card, because you sacrifice overall damage for crit damage, and both in single target and multi-target, hardlight crits are insane. Well, I'll get to that in the single target part of the video, but transformation card is definitely something I'd recommend having. Now I have it at 120, and I don't think it's necessary to have it that much higher. If you get it to 160, you're gonna do, the damage reduction is gonna be 2% less, which, and you don't even get a lot of might stats extra. Even at level 20, your might stats are, or is it 180? Yeah, at 180, you're gonna have 3% might, so from 120 to 180 is gonna be a difference of 2% might. If you really want to be OP, get it to 200, but honestly, at 120, it's kind of worth it. Even at 80, I think it's kind of worth it, but I'd still get it to 120 if I were you. Then the Grim is something I personally use. I don't think a lot of people still use it, but I'm quite a fan of it because I have it at 120 or 140 actually. Yeah, hold up, I got it at 140. It gives you good might stats and it adds a PI, which both in single target and in multi-target is necessary because you don't have a PI, or at least with the loadout I use, I don't use a PI. So to greatly increase the damage without having to use a PI, I use the Grim. And then lastly, this is kind of where it's completely up to you. You could use strategist card. I think that probably would be the best play. But you can do a couple of things. First of all, in a single target, I would use the Philosopher's Stone if you have it at a really high level, because single target hardlight burns a lot of power, and I feel like the Philosopher's Stone could help with that. I only have it at 100, so I don't personally really use it, but you could. And then it's up to you. Either you use Scrap of the Soul Cloak to get your Neo Venom quicker, because Neo Venom is going to be what you use in both single and multi-target. And that's what I do. Or you could use Solar Amp for the might stats, or maybe the Tetrahedron for might stats. But yeah, I don't know. I personally roll with these three. I don't think it's optimal, but I can outdamage people with 200 artifacts. So that to me means that it's viable. Actually, my white mods, I haven't really put a lot of thought into them because I use the same gear for single target as I would for multi-target. There's only a couple really necessary ones, especially for single target. You need replenishing adapter 1 to get power sustain, and for your head socket you're gonna need critical inspiration 3. For your neck escalating might, that's kind of just a no-brainer. Light inspiration, yeah. It synergizes well, but I don't think you necessarily need this accelerated inspiration. Core strength is a no-brainer. Restorative hand clap, yeah, that's not really necessary. I use Tumbling Master for the mobility, and max damage, also a no-brainer. DPS trinket. Try to get your what do you call them? Your adaptive augments as high as possible, and then your your origin augments as well. Only I don't, because I focused on trolling first, but what I decided to do is step away from any movement related powers. And what I mean by that is technically one of the most damaging abilities you could have is Whirling Dervish, but that's a super speed ability, and I don't want you to feel like you're not going to be able to do any damage if you if you don't have super speed. So I'm going to step away from that. Keeping that in mind. Okay, so for weapons, put one into whichever weapon you use. I use rifle because I'm gonna clip out of my abilities a lot, and rifle hits, let me show you, hits multiple targets with one tap, whereas like one-handed or something wouldn't. But that's completely up to you. That's preference. Your movement speed, obviously I have Whirling Dervish, but if you are super speed, use Whirling Dervish. If you're not, just get your 1 point into your speed 4s, your assisted gliding, whatever. And for iconics, get Neo Venom. I'm going to talk about other options, but if you want to follow my loadout, just get Neo Venom boost. And then stat points, you go super powered into your crits, and then try to max out might and power. Damn, I need a breath here. Holy shit. I don't have max skill points, so that's why I'm not maxed out. Let me also quickly show you. I'm at 54, about 56k at my max might. So if you're around this kind of might, you're gonna get the same parses as I do. That being said, let's jump into the loadout. So really with hardlight, you're only gonna be using 3 abilities. Optimally, you would be using Whip Thrash, Lightweight, and Whirling Dervish. But because I'm not gonna go specifically into super speed, I'm gonna use Ram, Whip Thrash, Lightweight. The other 3 abilities are completely up to you. Now I'm using Critical Inspiration. Well, let me actually explain what this does. Inspiration is your weapon buff, meaning technically it's not gonna be of any use in a might rotation. But since you're using Critical Inspiration 3, you're going to get 2% critical strike chance when you use the ability. So if I can passively throw in Inspiration into my loadout, I'll have a 2% increased critical chance, which for multi-target is not that necessary, but for single target is going to slap. I have it on here anyway, but I don't really use it all too much. Neo Venom Boost. If you're a fan of using supercharges for ads, I personally am not, but you could. Especially if people are green spamming, or I have the Gemini spamming, you use Neo Venom. Don't use Strafing Run, and please, especially don't use Ballistic Assault. Strafing Run, on its own, I feel like is a cool supercharge, but it doesn't do enough damage for a 10K compared to Oblivion or... what am I thinking? The munition supercharge, I can't even think of the name. Big Gun. Strafing Run doesn't do enough damage. Now it does, like, you're not going to be stuck in the animation, which is good. So you could pop Strafing Run technically and continue with your rotation, but nah, it's still not good. Ballistic Assault, garbage, because you're stuck in an animation. So why use a supercharge if you could just keep using your rotation plus the same amount of supercharge cost? That'll increase your damage. And then I have Light Barrier here. You could actually just put Robot Psychic on there. It's completely up to you. I don't love Robot Psychic for multi-target, but yeah, for the sake of this, I'm actually going to use it because generally you're not going to be using your shield anyway. Okay, for the rotation, pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to go Ram into Whip Thrash. But the second you're done with ram and you're gonna clip into your whip thrash, you're gonna use your actual whip thrash. It's gonna look a little like this. So the first whip thrash came out, but I instantly clipped it with the second one, meaning it's gonna do pretty much double the damage for the same duration of time. And then once the second one is over, you're gonna tap melee again to do this one, but that one you're gonna clip instantly into your lightweight, which will look a bit like this. And then your lightweight, you're gonna like use almost till the end, and then when it's done, just throw it away. And then after you do that throw animation, you're gonna go back into ram. So the rotation would look like this. And then at this point, you're gonna have like half a second where you can't clip your second whip thrash into your light wages yet because of the cooldown of it. But yeah, honestly, I'm just gonna show you because I think it's easier to show you on the targets. So let's do it. I'm gonna 55k, which I guess is not like optimal, but for my might, I feel like is pretty good. I also don't think that, okay, and I got a 53, 2 parses. I personally am not a huge fan of hardlight add damage anyway. To me, it just kind of feels boring. I've tried playing around with using fan, with using light blast, with using minigun, which is horrible, don't use minigun, or with impact, but it looks cooler, but it doesn't do the same amount of damage, so. Okay, for single target, don't look at the loadout just yet. This is not the definitive loadout, but I just need to do a bit more of explaining before I actually jump into it. So quickly, artifacts, same thing, augments, same thing, skill points. Wait, let me start here. Get 1 into your weapon, get 1 into your speed force or assisted gliding. I got these 2, and I'm going to explain in a second why. If you are super speed, you could increase your damage like this, but you don't necessarily need to. But I'll go into that. Get Neo Venom, get Robot Sidekick, super powered, 2040, and then try to get your 265 into minor power. Okay, so the reason I got both Tornado Pull and Cyclone Push is because they are very hard hitting single target powers. Well, actually, Tornado Pull isn't single target, which can be clipped. And that's kind of where Hardlight shines, because the way it works is you're going to be using 2 abilities, and well, that's kind of it. You're just going to be spamming 2 abilities. But as I mentioned earlier, you kind of need your inspiration to get your extra crit chances. So technically, you could use your Cyclone Push or Tornado Pull, clip them into inspiration, and then go into your loadout. Now I'm going to show you why Tornado Pull and Cyclone Push are really good. So 34k crit with a Tornado Pull, and Cyclone Push crits for, what, 34 as well. Yeah, 35. So a Tornado Pull crits a bit harder on single target, or does a bit more damage on single target, but the difference is this right here. Tornado Pull, wait, let me see if I'm getting this right. Yeah, Tornado Pull is a single target, whereas Cyclone Push is multi-target. That's the only thing you need to keep in mind. If you're going to use either one for single target, use Tornado Pull. And then the way this loadout works, and I'm not going to take a lot of credit for this because this is mainly Obsidian Chill's loadout, is you would have your Robot Sidekick up, you would clip Tornado Pull into Inspiration, Grasping Hand, Hand Clap, Hand Clap, Hand Clap, Grasping Hand, Hand Clap, Hand Clap, Hand Clap, Grasping Hand, Grasping Hand. Okay, and you're at a 31k parse-ish. Now this is a good hardlight loadout, and if you have a really good troll, I feel like this could be optimal, but I'm going to go over a couple of different variants to this. But before that, I should probably explain how it works. Basically, clip Tornado Pull into Inspiration, which gives you burst damage into your extra crit chance, because again, you have that helmet mod. You're going to use Grasping Hand, and you're going to hold, and then that holding animation of melee, holding melee, you're going to clip into your hand clap, and then the third hand clap, you're going to go back into your Inspiration. I'll do one more parse real quick. It really just depends on which abilities crit, whether you have big damage. Basically, your entire loadout is focused on hand clap, doing a lot of damage. As you saw right there, I have a 26k parse, but I'm already out of power. And that's what I'm gonna... That's kind of the main part of this video, is I want to go over alternative methods for you to DPS. And quickly, I'm going to show you just hand claps damage on its own. 12k, 12k, it's like 12, 6, 12k, but that could crit into a 34, a 13, and then a 34 again, which means on its own, without any buffs, if you get a bit of lucky crits, you're going to go like 50 to 70k damage with just hand clap alone. And then Grasping Hand is pretty good because it does, if you hold it, that animation, it's gonna leave damage over time, and you don't even need to do the animation because you can clip it. If you're not super speed, this is what version I would go with personally. Swap out Ram for Inspiration Tornado Pull. Why? Because Ram doesn't do as much damage. It actually does way less damage, but in my opinion, it's still the hardest hitting power in your arsenal that is also useful for combos that also only takes 200 power. Because for example, you could put a fan in here and that does, okay, let me see. That crits for, okay, come on, give me a crit. Oh my god, please. Okay, 28, so that's a bit more, but it takes more power cost and it's not useful for other situations. Whereas if you use Ram, let's say I'm fighting a boss right now and ads come out. What I could do is, instead of going full single target, I could use my Ram and I could clip it into fan like this, which will hit multiple targets. Let me just show you. Let me just select this guy. So that, like, both of them hit multiple targets, or I could go into Whip Thrash like this. So basically, you have a single target loadout that could also situationally be used for multi-target. That's kind of my point here. Let me give you one parse with like just like this with Ram on there. Yeah. Again, very crit dependent. You could get like high 20s to high 30s depending on your crits. Okay, I got a 36 there, which seems a bit high, but anyway, that's also at low might. I'm sitting at 54, whereas most people are nearing 70k. So if you have your artifact higher, you're gonna do way more damage. So anyway, this would be your set single target loadout if you're not super speed. If you are super speed, use Tornado Pull. But if there is a situation where you're gonna need to do add damage as well, you should use Ram. An example would be mining. Wait, what's that raid called? Damn, FBR or FBE, where you're fighting Lex. You might also want to get rid of all the ads that are on him. You could just do this right here. Just make sure that when you're clipping your Ram, don't instantly clip away, because you're not actually gonna get your fan or your Whip Thrash to come out. You need to like wait like half a second, and then you could do it. Same with a Whip Thrash. You gotta wait a tad second. Anyway, that's my very power hungry loadout. Now I'm gonna go over alternatives to less power hungry versions, basically, of the loadout. So let's go. Okay, so for the next one, you will need to use your heat vision. So if you have solar amplifier, use it. If you don't, I'm still gonna try to explain some alternatives to this, but I prefer running this like this. So I have trans, solar, grim. Basically, I switched out my scrap of the soul cloak. Specs are still exactly the same. You get your robot psychic, you get your neo venom boost, and your loadout is gonna look like hand clap, light blast, heat vision, inspiration, robot sidekick. And the loadout pretty much consists of you doing hand clap into light blast, into hand clap, into heat vision, into hand clap, into light blast. And obviously while that is going on, you have your robot sidekick out, and you also have your inspiration out. Now, if you wanna, like on this sparring target, if I wanna have maximum DPS, I would use my inspiration first and then go into the loadout, which is something you should try to aim to do in regular raids as well. Like right before the boss starts, before everyone attacks, use your inspiration and then go into the loadout. Anyway, the loadout looks a bit like this. So hand clap, hand clap, hand clap into light blast, tap range, hand clap, hand clap, hand clap into heat vision. Let me actually explain this in a second because I'm not explaining it well enough. Okay, I got a 30k, but as you can see, I'm still actually, okay, out of 35 there. I'm still actually parsing, which means I didn't run out of power as quickly. So as you saw, basically, you do hand clap, and in the third hand clap, you clip into light blast. At the end of light blast, like almost when it's about to end, you kind of just have to know the timing of this. Almost at the end, you're gonna do your rifle tap or whatever weapon you're using. And then you're gonna clip that rifle tap into your hand blast, into your hand clap again. And then do the same thing, hand clap, hand clap, hand clap. And then the last one you clip into your solar, or into your heat vision. And then after you get the big hit from your amplified heat vision, the exploding damage when you have it at 120, you could do a rifle tap. I usually try to, but sometimes it doesn't go off, and then you go back into the rotation. So let me try to go again. I'm gonna use numbers because that's easier for me instead of remembering the name. So I do 1 tap, 2 rifle, 1, 2, 3. There we go. And I'm getting 34Ks with this, which is honestly pretty good compared to the other loadout. Sometimes I preemptively clip out of my light blasts. Try not to do that because you're gonna lose damage. Also, something to note is that your light blast is gonna do more damage when your targets are below 35% health. And it also hits multiple targets, so if there's ads around, this is gonna be what does a lot of damage. I didn't even use inspiration there. Wait, let me do that again, but with inspiration. As I say that, I don't even get any crits. Ridiculous. See, I have a tendency to clip out of my my light blast a bit too quickly. Yeah, this is going to be a lower parse. 31. Really just depends on the damage. Okay, there we go. 35. I'm actually also going to give you a fully buffed rotation like this using I can't think of any words right now. Supply drop, trinket, neo venom boost, all of that stuff. Just to show you what kind of damage you could like almost get in raids. Because usually you're gonna be buffed up in raids anyway. So I'm sitting at 55k might, which is a bit higher than my other rotation. I'm using trans, solar, grim. The reason I'm at a higher might, by the way, is because scrap gives me 2% might, solar gives me 4. I'm using a 263 trinket. Okay, so I'll show you the full buffed parse right now. I'm not getting any crits, but as you saw there, one of my hand claps crit for 70k. Okay, I got a bit unlucky on my crits there, but a 57k. And then this is gonna be down like 35 maybe. Oh, 39 still. I think part of that was still buffed. Maybe that's why. And I might be able to get a third parse in. No, nope, I couldn't. I mean, I did, but it's only 29 because the last second of that didn't count. So yeah, this would be my my less power hungry loadout. I've already made a video on this, but I kind of wanted to group my thoughts. And then there's one variant as well, which I was messing with earlier. But it's very crit dependent. So one you could do is using ram into fan. And I think this is also still less power hungry. It's still pretty power hungry though, but yeah, I'm getting a 35 with that. Still pretty power hungry. And then I've also considered doing where is it? This one. The problem with this one is the cooldowns. As you'll see in a second, it's kind of awkward. Like it doesn't really work out. So let's. Yeah, you gotta wait like a second there, which is. Plus, this is also kind of power hungry, so. Yeah, and it's only 30k. Yeah, anyway, that's kind of it for this video. It's a very sloppy video, but I think it could still be pretty. It could be a good learning experience. If you ask me, I would use this loadout like the entire time, especially in alerts. If you don't run into power issues with the first DPS single target loadout I mentioned, then use that one. But if you have the armories, I would really just recommend using all of them. Anyways, that was it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.